Welcome back to the On Business podcast. With tons of experience in different industries in Canada and the United States, Danielle and Brandon give you real talk, no nonsense expert advice about running and owning successful companies. Here's your host, Danielle Jenkins and Brandon White.
Hey, Danielle, what's happening?
Hey, I'm laughing at our discussion for today and how I just called you a nerd.
But I didn't laugh.
I'm laughing with you, not at you.
I don't think so, but that's fine. My wife says that that's true, but that's the attraction, I guess.
Yes, the nerd alert is the attraction.
We were talking, and what we're talking about today, listeners, is the AI movement, but more so what prompted it was the demo that Tesla did on the AI day with the new robot. And I think Danielle and I were both thinking the same thing. I wrote about it in this weekly newsletter that I write that goes out to people on basically things that I'm thinking. And I usually write some sort of essay about something happening in the business world or in the world in general, not politics, but in the economy or things related to business owners. And in it, when I happened to be working on that Friday night or that Friday afternoon that the AI day, Tesla's AI day was happening. And I was actually writing the newsletter and scrapped what I was writing about to write about that because I was watching it. And when the robot walked out on stage, I basically said to myself that fundamentally just changed the world.
100%.
It's not that robots are new, but robots that can walk on 2 feet and think are new.
With opposable thumbs.
With the thumbs and grip and the AI. And for listeners who, I don't know, there seems to be some people out there that don't like Elon Musk, they're haters about Tesla and this, that, and the other. And I'll just say this. I have a Tesla X car. I have full self-driving, and I have the full self-driving beta, which is the additional self-driving that lets me put in an address and it drives city streets. The full self-driving, normal self-driving that you buy with the Tesla car allows you, it goes on the highway, it switches lanes, it will get you off the exit, but once you're off the exit, it effectively stops in main traffic. The beta that is out, which is the future version of it, you have to, I don't know how they decide, qualify for it or whatever it is. And I managed to get it. Well, actually you have to achieve a certain driving score that they track you on. And then you get put into a pool. And then if you get through that, I guess they pick whoever. I don't know why or how it works. But the point in saying this is that having a car drive you in traffic is absolutely incredible. I don't
think
care.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't care whether you like it or you like Tesla or you like Elon or not. They have the most advanced AI engine in the world, proved by a car that can drive itself. And anybody out there who says, well, yeah, but it's hit people and it's done this. And my immediate response to that is, okay, that sucks. It hit somebody. How many humans hit somebody in that same day, every day, on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm.
The statistics are just not comparable, period. My friend who has his Tesla in LA with the full self-driving uses it in LA.
That's crazy.
In the traffic, and it drives itself. And it's gotten, Yvette and I have joked that in the beginning it was as if a 14-year-old was driving it. Then it got to a 15-year-old. And now the newest version of the self-driving, I would say, is probably a very strong 20-year-old driver. And
yay.
I mean, that's pretty good.
No, it is. Yeah.
And it's absolutely incredible when you think what it's doing in that car that car, it's not going to the internet. So it's not reaching out to the internet and processing this. This is a computer with code so clean and so efficient that it's working in your car, making decisions in milliseconds or even smaller by looking through a camera. So it is using the cameras to do the driving. It does not use radar in general. It used to, a lot of the technologies relied on LiDAR, but Tesla drives through cameras and processes it. So now you take that and you turn it into a robot. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my generation, the X generation, this is the Jetsons coming true. This is Buck Rogers in the 25th century. I think it was Buck Rogers. Was it Buck Rogers? And then it was Will Rogers. Was that Will Rogers and the robot? And I mean, we are literally in 5 years going to be able to buy a robot that does the chores around our house.
Yeah, like, first things first. I mean, I know we're going to talk about business and how AI and robots can benefit or not in business. But personally, are you kidding me? I will have one of those robots. If I could put a pre-order on that today, I would. Like, if I could, as much as I love taking care of my home, the times that I am so busy, I am so focused on something, and I need my dogs walked, fed. I could really have a new iced coffee while I'm in the middle of a Zoom call that's lasting 3 hours. I would love a robot around the house, just to help around the house, like take out the garbage. I hate taking out the garbage. So that would be helpful on its own. I would pay more than the $20,000 that Tesla is saying. Because again, we were talking about time prior to this episode, and time is so valuable. So if I can reduce some time by vacuuming or, you know, feeding the dogs or taking out the garbage, and I could focus on income producing tasks, why not? Like, what are your thoughts on that? How cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted a driver. It's not that I don't enjoy driving my car, but I've always just wanted a driver. I think it'd be easier. I think I'd get more done by having a driver. I had a friend who had a driver, and he wasn't super, super rich, but he used it as a write-off in his company because he hired the employee, and it just saved him an enormous amount of time. He was able to get, by the time he reached the office for him, he had already accomplished 3 things that let him hit the floor running. Often for business owners, we get into the office, if we're going to the office or our home office, in this case now, but still people do go to the office. By the time you get to your office and you get through your email and everything, it's 11 o'clock, and now you're hitting the floor with actual having to, you should be interacting with people in your company and or customers to figure out what's going on in the world, in your world, and you're behind. Whereas if you had someone drive you, you might be able to get through and might be able to start this other process at 9 o'clock, which just gets you 2 hours ahead. And I'm just using that as an example. There was another guy that I know who was the CEO of a very large company in Silicon Valley, actually known around the world, security software company, and he had a driver pick him up every morning. And same thing is in the 40-minute commute to the office, he was already 2 hours ahead, basically, because of what he was able to get done. So I think for me, having that, but having someone to help around the house, it just
game changer.
Yeah, it's a game changer. And for listeners who are wondering about Danielle's comment about $20,000, when Elon talked about the robot, he said that they believe, I think within a year, that they'll be able to get it to the mass market for less than $20,000. And at first glance, there's going to be a whole bunch of rhetoric out there. Rich people can afford a butler and this, that, and the other. But here's the truth. $20,000 is not as much as hiring a full-time employee, even a nanny for your kids, or paying for daycare. So when you put it into perspective, it's actually pretty cheap. And if you financed that over 4 years, it's even cheaper.
It's like $5,000 a year.
It's going to, and it's the AI. I wrote a case in the newsletter. I think I wrote it. Maybe I wrote it in the print newsletter that I did, but the case for Tesla as an investment, and you should consult your financial advisor before making any sort of decision. That's my disclaimer. But the case for the case for Tesla is not even, if you really take the time to understand and think about, not just understand, because you can understand it if you spend a little bit of time, but really think about the implications here. Tesla's value isn't in that car. It's in the AI engine that can now do a robot or do something else. And I got a question for you, but before I forget, this was 4 years ago. It was before COVID. I landed in San Francisco. I went in the morning to San Francisco airport, and I think it was the United terminal or it was the Southwest terminal, and there was a new coffee store, and the coffee store was run by a robot. And I mean, I have the tape. I'll have to dig it up. I'll send it to you. I sat there probably for 15 minutes and just watched it, because that is a glimpse of the future. Now, we've had robotic things happening in a very long time on car assembly lines and mass market type things, but not in the mainstream where it's gone to mowing your yard and things like that. I saw, I think Toro or John Deere came out with a lawnmower that mows your yard, sort of like the robotic vacuum that we have. I forget what that's called, but the world is just going to change, and it's going to change business. And my question for you is, are you concerned with your business because you clean homes with humans? So are you worried that the robots are going to take over?
I mean, no, yes and no. Before Tesla's AI day, I still were thinking about this. I mean, I think in the future, we have a great company, a very, great profitable company. Could it be overtaken by robots? And I've thought about it many times. So let's just take Tesla's robot into account here. So if we have a client who has a nanny, has a house cleaner, has a driver, whatever, any help they could get, right? Maybe our bill for them a year is $10,000. Maybe their driver's bill is $10,000. Maybe their nanny's bill is $10,000. So adding all of that up, say let's $30,000, right? They could hire a robot to clean their house, or not hire, sorry, buy a robot to clean their house and get rid of our company. And that robot's going to cost them $20,000. That robot can also probably take care of their kids, walk the dogs, clean the house, and maybe the robot will eventually hop in the Tesla and drive people to work. You know what I mean? So, yes, they could replace us. But on the flip side, and this is where it could benefit a company as mine, as maybe lawn mowing, maybe other services as well. Maybe pet walking companies down the road will have robots doing it. Because the biggest concern with people in any business, and it doesn't matter what business, people get sick, people have personal things that they have to take care of. Reliability is the number one issue with employees. And it's not even as a fault or a malicious fault of employees. Shit happens. Life goes on. We need to take that in consideration as as companies who have employees. So let's just look 20 years down the line, and our company's still doing well, and we need to hire employees. But employees aren't coming to work, or they can't work because they have personal issues, or they're working for us and they need to take time off. So then what happens if I can hire or purchase, I keep saying hiring, but we're purchasing robots. So I could have, 25 staff and also people, human employees, but then also have 10 robots. We don't have to worry about them showing up or not. Hopefully they don't get sick. I mean, really, what the only issue is, I mean, they could break their opposable thumb, but we could program them to do the job that I need them to do. Obviously, this is all theoretical and hypothetical, because our company, obviously, our clients love the personal touch of our staff, the human connection. But if this is the way the world is going, and a company as mine is not going to be replaced by in-home robots, then it is a possibility for a company or a business in an industry like cleaning, any kind of services, pet walking, grass cutting, window cleaning, whatever it may be, they can all have robots as employees. And in all honesty, I think it's a great, exciting thing to think about for the future, because we know that, again, the biggest issue is employees. And I love my employees. My employees are phenomenal. Very proud to have them all aboard. But what if our company scaled huge and we couldn't hire enough employees quick enough? We could get robots and we could utilize them. And I just think it's an amazing phenomenon, really. I mean, it's the coolest thing that we could get a robot to do what we do. And that's what I'm excited for. Definitely don't want to see it get to a place where it replaces the human aspect of my company, but I think it's a cool asset to have.
But it will replace your company. And if we look at where this goes, people get angry because uncertainty creates anxiety, and people, when they don't have certainty, get very anxious. Mm-hmm. But if we play this out, think about this. The lawn mowing company isn't pushed by the robot. The robot won't mow the yard. All that happens is a robot goes around and visits yards every day and mows them automatically. I saw one of the things that I had when I saw the AI day that I wasn't sure about is one of the groups of people that were and wanted something to be able to walk on 2 feet was the military. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that I read about had kept the military from having robot operators, warfighters, was that they couldn't get it to walk on 2 feet with reliability and at speed, at agility. Mm-hmm. So when I saw the AI day, I was thinking, is this the first time that we've ever had that? It turns out that's not true. And I can't remember, and one of these two companies would be super upset, but can't remember if it's UPS or FedEx, about 2 years ago, had built for them a prototype where a self-driving car brought a robot that could walk on 2 feet and go up steps, because the video's on YouTube, and go into the truck, grab the package, and to put it on the doorstep. And you can Google, I don't know, whatever, come up with the keywords there that I just came up with. And I saw it, and it was about 2 years ago. So this isn't the first time that someone has gotten it to walk. The opposable thumb is super interesting, but it's the combination of all of that. It's really the AI that is the magic here, because Tesla has gotten so far ahead by training its car. And here's something when you start to think about it. You said, well, the robot could get in the car and drive somewhere. The robot doesn't have to get in the car and drive somewhere. The car already can drive itself. It doesn't need a robot. If you think about that, my Tesla doesn't need me in the car.
Right.
You can already, and this has been around for a while, you can summon the Tesla. So if the Tesla's parked in a parking lot, you just press the button and it comes to you. It unparks itself and comes to you. So it's, when you really spend brain power thinking about this, it's you instinctively took a human thing and say, well, there's got to be someone in the driver's seat, but there doesn't have to be anymore. So the lawn mowing service is just a lawnmower that's driven by a self-driving car that I guess gets off that trailer and mows the yard. And maybe a robot has to do the weed eating. But when you think about this, fundamentally eliminates, and I'm going to go here, but we're not going to play this out because it's probably be a 5-hour episode. But it fundamentally changes society, and I wonder if it makes the rich richer and the poor poorer, because you will eliminate. I don't care what all the companies are going to say. Well, this isn't going to take over this, because they're just saying that because people are going to freak out. The truth of the matter is, if you play this out, you can't tell me that I'm not going to hire a robot to pick strawberries because they can pick strawberries 24/7, or they can pick strawberries 20 hours out of 24. The other 4 they have to charge, and they don't take bathroom breaks. They don't do that. That's not a knock on anybody. It's just fact of humans. They don't have to eat lunch. They don't have to take breaks. They don't have to do that. From a simple business economics capitalism, it's just, you got to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to drive efficiency. So you are going to go to that labor force if it's cheaper. Yeah. Whatever the labor force is, they already build cars with robots. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be human supervision. Eventually, probably doesn't need it, but in the next few decades, it probably is augmented by humans checking, because the AI isn't perfect. But the AI will get good enough to, if you look at how fast this is happening, Danielle, a self-driving car 5 years ago, people thought it could happen, had prototypes that were okay, but now 5 years later, we have a car that can drive itself through San Francisco, the streets of San Francisco and LA.
Right.
This is exponential growth. This is not linear. This is not, the ability is going through the roof. So to say that it's not going to replace labor is crazy. You know, you're not going to be an issue for Starbucks of people organizing and becoming a labor union. I think that these people don't see the forest through the trees. I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong. We're not commenting on that today, but I am saying that if there's already a coffee shop in San Francisco airport that can make any coffee or any drink that you want, I think organizing your labor union, you probably have some other issues that you should be negotiating, like how I'm going to keep humans in this spot. Or there's a burger joint I recently read about that is all robotic. Mm-hmm. It makes the perfect burger every time.
Well, we have a sushi restaurant near Toronto that there's humans that run it, but all the waitresses and waiters and hosts are robots. They bring out your sushi for you, put it on your table, and go back to get the rest.
So tell me what happens. This is sort of a bigger question that I think we all need to think about. Tell me what happens to the labor force. In the United States, the dirty secret of the immigration issue is that both sides of the aisle understand that without labor force that the United States needs to do labor jobs, it needs these, quote, illegal people. So there's a whole, that, like, if you really unpack that and you start digging in and you research it, there's a lot more to it. However, when you eliminate the need for that labor, what do these people do? They're not knowledge workers. I mean, knowledge workers are where the money is, where people are going to make money, but inherently this creates a very large divide. Mm-hmm. I don't have an answer for that, and it's a bigger question, but I am putting it out there that we are going to replace labor, humans. Your sushi restaurant is already doing it. And you know what? Why wouldn't a business owner do that?
I mean, Brandon, I have to interrupt you when you ask me that and answer that honestly. Again, let's use my company as an example. I love every single one of my staff members. We have a great staff force. We don't have to worry about people, calling in last minute. Like it's a great company culture, great work ethic. However, it is always a worry. I mean, if I take on a large job and I have 3 staff members that call in and this job is on a time crunch, we're not going to be able to get it done. The biggest issue is reliability. So it's so hard because you have to think as a business owner, you have to have profits, you have to be efficient. So if it makes more sense for me to hire 10 or buy 10 robots at $20,000 a piece, where I know they're going to be at work, I don't have to worry about bathroom breaks. That job is going to get done. Whether that robot has to get programmed or whether it just knows, I don't know. I'm just speaking out loud. But and it knows that that job has to be done by 5 p.m. on whatever day, and it's going to get done. Well, then why wouldn't I? I mean, again, we're thinking way down the line, maybe decades, who knows? However, if it can work for my industry or my company, the waitresses and waiters, look at even now how many businesses can't open some nights because they don't have enough waiters, waitresses, and bartenders. It happens here all the time. People say that they have to close down early because nobody showed up for their shift. We have 2 McDonald's in Orangeville, and a few months ago, one of them couldn't open for a few days because nobody came in, and one person can't manage or can't run a store.
No, it is. We're not going to answer it here, but it is reality. And you asked the question, why wouldn't I do it? Well, you might not do it because the personal touch of the human matters in some cases, but there is going to be some level of augmentation. And the question that comes up for me is what happens to all those people? And you said it might be decades. I'd argue that this happens without a question in our lifetime, and in 100 years, 80 years, at the rate of acceleration of this AI ability, I think the entire labor force, most of the labor force is gone. I think you'll see restaurants now basically replacing one as fast as possible. Them. I think there'll still be chefs who come up with the recipes, but in 200 years, I think AI can come up with a better recipe, possibly.
My fridge does, or my oven already does it, Brandon. My oven is on an app, and every Sunday, it gives me meals because it knows that I like meat and pasta. So it's like, here, Danielle, this could be your meal plan for the week.
All I'm saying is,
damn good recipes.
It'll blow your mind. I think it's worth talking about. And if for listeners, you only come away with a little bit more information of how advanced the AI is and how it could help your business, and then on a broader scale, how society is going to deal with this, then I think it's worth spending time, because we do have a minute, but I will tell you that robot probably by the end of next year you can buy. And the AI engine isn't starting from zero. It's way more advanced because of what they've learned in the car. And it's just going to get exponential. So it really was a game changer. It affected my weekend because it's just not that often in your lifetime do you see something so fundamental that will change. It's like going from the horse and buggy to the car. That's what we're talking about here. That we are talking about going from the horse and buggy to a car in the early 1900s. That's what we're about to witness. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm a geek. You said it. I love it.
I mean, I'm not even a nerd or a geek, Brandon. Like, you know me, I'm not very good with the whole software or tech thing, but even I'm excited, personally and business-wise, to be honest. Just like yourself, I'm excited for it. And when I'm looking at it as my business, and any business owner that's listening, I think you should be excited, because I think there are benefits and positives. I don't want to say I hope, but I don't want there to be, like we were just talking about, a complete replacement of human labor force. I think it would be super beneficial to a company like mine and many companies that are owned by our listeners here, if there's maybe a hybrid. I mean, how awesome is that? You know, we have a staff force of, say, 40, and then we have 10 robots. So somebody calls and says, okay, send a robot. Right? Everybody still has their job, and then we make sure the job gets done. I feel like it'll reduce so much stress.
I just disagree. I think I think that makes us all feel better, but I don't think it's reality, because at the end of the year, you're going to look at your P&L and you're going to say, well, if I'm not saying you, I'm just saying any business, just like the car companies did, said, well, if we can replace these 100 people on the assembly line with 99 robots. Yeah, we like talking to Joe who comes in, and he's nice, and Mary always is fun to talk to. But we would eliminate $240,000 of costs and get more production. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to. I don't mean to. It's just like, I tend to just want to deal with it most, when things are painful and hard and they take a lot of calories to process, people don't want to deal with it now. I like the hard conversation because if you don't have the hard conversation, all that happens is that when it does come, and it's coming, no one's prepared. The governments of the world don't know F all. You will get an enormous divide, and now you have this thing in society where it's very hard to fix. We're going back in time to empires where the nobility, so to speak, the educated, the rich, and the poor just becomes greater and greater and greater, and it happens so fast because you've boiled the frog that no one wanted to talk about it or prepare for it. There's a lot of challenges like with that we're not going to answer today, because there's this thing called politics. And, maybe you replace some of these politicians with AI who can make a lot better decisions and not cheat, lie, and steal. I'm not saying they all do that. I'm just saying there's a lot of stories in the news since I've been alive on a regular basis where that happens. And you have to ask yourself, with technology, does blockchain replace the need for representatives and senators and Congress people and things, whatever in your country that you're listening to, in your government, those are? I don't know. But these things are good to talk about, to just process and say, oh shit, we got to do something about this. So I do think we have a minute, but I am excited to have a butler. I am excited to have a chauffeur, and I'm still excited to interact with humans.
Yes. See, I'm the same. That's what I mean. I feel like I want like a hybrid, like half my life still human, half my life still robot. Like, come to my home and we'll have wine and drinks served by our robot. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at. And if it can benefit my business, why not? I can hold off on the hard conversation for a minute, like you said, but I am excited about any potential benefits and positives that it can bring my company. And I encourage anybody who has a business that could potentially benefit from robots to maybe think about it. Check out the Tesla AI Day video. It was super cool. I was amazed. I'm definitely getting one for my personal life. Let's just say that. I'm getting one too. And I think also, interestingly enough, the AI could benefit your business by not adopting it. I'll just leave on that note, because with the advent of the internet that I've been really lucky to be a part of since the early days of commercialization, is I've benefited from the internet. I'm using this as an example, which will sound like a
huge self-promotion, but don't worry, we don't have like 5 million subscribers, so it doesn't really matter, is I write a print newsletter, which is against all of my beliefs and embracement of technology and the internet. The internet made me, my first company that I sold made me all that money. So isn't it ironic that the opportunity came from not embracing the internet? The truth of the matter is there's 5 million newsletters that you could subscribe to for free, of which I write one, the email where we tell people about our new episodes on business, and we do those. And there's newsletters that you can pay for, but I also write one that's in print that people pay for and value more than they do on the internet. So I only offer that as what appears to be shameful self-promotion, but like I said, not getting rich off of it. So I think I get a pass there. But it is a good example of your ability to carve out a niche by going against the grain. And I only wanted to offer that to listeners because I didn't want them, Danielle, walking away with you and I are these capitalistic pigs that want to replace humans and just make a buck, because there's an opportunity for a restaurant never to use the robot and to stand out because some segment of the population enjoys Joe or Mary coming to the table and saying a compliment that wasn't programmed.
I mean, when I'm 80 years old, Brandon, and, my whole life has been full of these robots, I will probably be one of those people that go and say, back in my day, I used to be served by people. So, I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. There's so many benefits or not. So I think this conversation's fun. I think it's a cool thing to get excited for, but there are real conversations we need to have about it for sure.
Well, cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your week without the robot and have a good one.
You too. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.